This is Another Damn Podcast about digital asset management. I'm Henrik Tekior. Today I'm speaking with Jennifer Veiga and Theresa Honig. Thanks for joining. How are you?
Good. How are you today, Hendrik?
Great. How are you involved with digital asset management?
We are involved in various ways and various capacities. We work for a media company and we implement the standards in which the agencies and photographers and all of our contractors provide assets to us. So we probably use digital asset in a very different way than most companies do, in terms of we also use it to a degree as a news feed. And we have pretty much written the standards for how the photographers and agencies insert their material into our system in terms of captioning, keywording, metadata, so forth and so on, what we require, what our standards are.
How does an organization focused on celebrity media as well as health and fitness media use digital asset management?
A big part of our way is getting our news feeds, getting information from the photographers and the news agencies. We have to house a lot of information as far as clips on past products that we've done and also pictures that we use. Like I said, we get pictures into our database and we also have to get them out to our designers.
We have an enterprise digital asset management system as well, a workflow. So there's other software tied into it. So it's actually kind of a complex system in regards to that because there's so many users.
And all the programs have to be linked together to our database.
Right, to support the dams. We use it differently in terms of from the celebrity and the health portions of it. Everybody has their own library, and we give access to certain people. So, for example, some of the photo editors can't go into some of the other titles' libraries due to copyrights and embargoes and permissions and, certain things like, certain things like that. And in terms of the celebrity portion of it, the greatest challenge with that is being that we're such a huge company and we work at iconic print brands, there's a lot of photographers and agencies and so forth that want to contribute. So it makes it difficult in the sense that obviously the more you store, the more it's going to cost you because when you implement the system, you only buy a certain amount of storage. It's not just endless. So that presents a problem. Sometimes we have to kind of be selective on who we allow to contribute. So they have to go through kind of a process in terms of being allowed, I guess you could say like a membership to get username and password into our FTP. And then some agencies stream. So in that respect, it's different. And obviously, it's just different businesses. The entertainment, the celebrity brands don't get people working out, and the fitness titles do. And at the same realm, we've implemented a library that's for internal use, and it's basically it's a free library, we like to refer to it as. And it's basically stock images, product shots, just generic things that everybody can use. So we try to repurpose that. And that way, every title doesn't have to go out and do the same photo shoot for just generic shots.
We also have to have a bigger library for the celebrity end of it because there's a lot more material coming in and out. Celebrities are out every day, whereas the health and fitness end of it is a lot more photo shoots and clip art and stock art.
A lot more tailored.
What are the biggest challenges and successes you've seen with digital asset management?
Well, I think the biggest challenge really is having an active commitment from the top to support our efforts. I think a lot of times at the top, they don't really get all the techie stuff about it. They just think that they're going to buy a system and then that's it. They pay one time and it's all over, and that's not obviously the case. So I've tried not to sugarcoat the reality that you have to maintain it, update it, and care for it. And that essentially is going to cost money and time. And at the end of the year, a lot of times, or for us, we've reached our limit quickly because so many people every single day are putting material into our dam. And for example, when there's award shows, it's in a matter of 8 hours, you'll get 75,000 images. It's a lot for the system to handle, and it's a lot for everybody to go through, for us to handle too, because at some point there's no need for 10,000 pictures of Jennifer Lopez smiling in the same dress. And that's what you run into. And then it's hard to get to what you need because you have to dig through all the award show stuff. It gets kind of hairy and complicated and annoying at times. So basically on those days, we're all kind of working overtime because we have to go in and basically clean and edit. So a lot of times like photographers and agencies and stuff like it seems cheap and it's easy to just shoot a bunch of pictures. You don't need all those pictures. I think a lot of times people just need to really learn how to edit. And I think that's really important for any system because you get backlog.
Yeah, it gets too big. I mean, you have to...
And it slows the system down and it slows everything down.
Yeah, you have to get it empty enough that it will take more on. And if you can't, then you need to do the maintenance at that point and empty some things out.
Yeah.
And also make sure it's properly backed up. It's another issue we see. A lot of times things aren't properly backed up, and then we have to change servers, and then we lose a mountain of information, and then we have to get it all back in again, and it makes a whole huge effort that was unnecessary.
Another challenge that we have is making sure that everybody's software programs, technology is compatible. For example, what is it today? We had a problem where somebody's Photoshop wasn't being properly ingested into our system. It wasn't reading it. You get glitches like that and things like that come up. And, it's frustrating because a lot of times it's not the end user. So we not only cater to the end users here, but we have to support outside efforts as well. And that sometimes gets to be difficult and stressful because I'm not sitting at whoever's desk in California, so I don't know what's on their computer. And successes, I'd say our most successful implementation was SCC Media Grid, which is a digital asset management system that is basically created for the publishing industry. And for our purposes, it is by far superior, I think, than most in terms of you can see everything immediately. You could do time searches, you could do routine searches, Boolean searches. It's multifaceted and it's extremely quick. It's really easy to maintain. And when people drop things in, it pretty much reads most metadata, which once we've given them our style guides and standard guides, if they properly adhere to them, then it really creates a nice workflow and it makes our job a lot easier.
Mm-hmm. It can handle a lot of information. There aren't as many system crashes.
What advice would you like to share with DAM professionals and people aspiring to become DAM professionals?
First and foremost, make sure that you have commitment from the top. And make sure that they know that every person that uses it, that's a license fee. You can't just, everybody can share this same username and password. You can't do that. That's stealing people's technology, and that's not right. Develop a strategy and customize it to your business needs and talk to as many people as you can because it's so imperative. And employees in different departments, everybody has data in their head. I mean, data essentially is knowledge. So everybody is knowledgeable in some degree or another. I mean, we try to have an open door policy in terms of we encourage people to come and speak to us at all times, questions, comments, concerns, ways to improve anything. I mean, it's a work in progress. And I mean, it's not perfect now, but that's obviously is our goal.
Yeah. To really help, you really have to know the ins and outs of the company that you're helping and know what the employees need and what they need to do their job and get it done efficiently. And also, like we said before, to plan for the future. Make sure that there's enough room in that database or that you have a plan after that you have a bigger system you can move on to.
Yeah, and obviously your controls, vocabularies, and your keywords. And I think sometimes with digital asset management, people think that the more metadata and the more keywords and the more this is better. And I personally don't necessarily agree with that. I think that there's something to be said for simplicity. And I just think it needs to be straightforward, real people speak. Some people get a little too smart with their keywords. If it's a picture of an island, just write island. You don't have to have some crazy, I mean, obviously what island, where it is and stuff like that is important, but sometimes people just get too literal about it. That's happened here where they'll just write, this is the West Indies, but it doesn't say island. And a lot of people sometimes are just looking for an island. Develop a strategy and talk to as many people as you can, because that's where you will get ideas and solutions. And basically, that's what we usually are trying to do, is find a solution to something.
Yeah. And talking to other professionals is great, because everybody's run into different situations. You know, you might have a situation that somebody conquered last year.
And glitches and things like that. And sometimes one person's able to pull up something and the other person's like, well, I just typed that in. It's not coming up on mine. For the most part, that's usually a user error. But I have seen instances where things haven't shown up and I still don't have the answers to those. And stay on top of your software. Make sure that you schedule your updates and things like that, because there's a lot of times where you have to work really closely with IT. I mean, IT is probably who we work the closest with, because they support our efforts as well.
Thank you.
Sure.
For more on this and other digital asset management topics, go to anotherdamblog.com. For this podcast and 160 other podcast episodes, including transcripts of every interview, go to anotherdamblog.com. If you have any comments or questions, email me at anotherdamblog@gmail.com. Thanks again.